ARPA money, you have to procure, you have to reach out, you have to basically find the right vendor for the task. You can't just go and pick a vendor that you always use. You have to go through a process, whether it's competitive bidding or just an inquiry process. Cash management, which is just spending the money as you receive it, timely, and sub-recipient monitoring, which is probably not applicable to you all. Do you guys pass any money through to other entities to administer a part of a grant for you? Do you do that at all?
No, the only time we started to have sub-recipient was with the local CARES funding, and then we found out afterwards that they really truly weren't a sub-recipient. So no.
Gotcha. Well, that's something, it's in here, so you're covered. If you ever have to do it, you can reference back this as a good, just a way for you to get familiar with it, but you likely won't ever have to deal with it. So if you go through this for allowable costs, for example, it's going to list a lot of resources that are available to you, such as the award agreement. It's going to talk about what commonly is an allowable cost. It's going to talk about certain grants that the city commonly receives, who monitors that grant, where it's recorded, what are some common allowable costs of it. And we list the three more common ones right now being CDBG, CRF, and then the American Rescue Plan. This is not, I mean, this can change over time too, but just to give you an idea of what's in here, we just wanted to talk a little bit about what's allowable and then common unallowable costs as well. And that's all it's meant to do, is just be a reference point for you all. Your one-stop shop when you're dealing with federal compliance. I'd recommend you go to the manual. You can search within the manual by just hitting Control F, and you can search through it, and you can find information that is likely relevant to what you need. And then we also talk about the internal control processes over allowable costs within the city. And this is tailored to the city. We were able to work with the city to get this figured out. Okay, and then Exhibit A is the related policy for this. And this is actually a link. So if you were to click this, it would actually take you to Exhibit A, where you would be able to see the related uniform guidance policy. The policies here, Exhibit A through E, are what's required. You're required to have those. The things in the front of the manual here, right here where my cursor is, those are things that we put together to make it more easily understandable. Does that make sense? Hopefully so, clear as mud. It's federal compliance. I know people aren't that interested in it. Only geeks like me get into this. Time and effort. This is where you have to just document the reason that you're spending the funds on payroll and benefits. And you have to document that the employee's time is actually being spent on those programs. We do provide a couple attachments here, and two of them right here are ways you can perform this documentation. This probably isn't super common to the city where you actually make payroll out of federal money. Do you do any of that, Sherry, that you know of?
We haven't.
What was that?
We have not.
So probably not going to be applicable to you, but in the future, if you do pay employees out of a federally funded fund, then you will have to pay attention to this. So I'll kind of skip through that for now. Procurement. Now this likely does apply to you because of the ARPA money that you're receiving. I don't know what projects you're spending the money on right now, but do any of them involve large scale projects with contractors?
We actually haven't started any projects yet because I think
no one has. Don't worry. You're probably in the planning phase at this point.
We're waiting, to get the policies in place and, to follow. So along with
you're spending the money on right now. What's that?
Oh, I think we just got some feedback. So you're okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's gotcha. Well, no one has spent the money yet. I can tell you that, but they are in the planning phases. So as you plan for projects, if it's over a certain dollar threshold, you actually have to procure it by soliciting bids with a few vendors, or if you're under a certain threshold, you can kind of more informally look for bids and just make sure you're getting the best combination of price and service and ability. So that's what this section discusses, is all of the items that are required to be documented in your procurement file. And it also provides examples to make it more easily understandable. This section, if you're going to take anything from this, I would say read this section because it will likely come into play as you're going through your ARPA administration. So procurement is the most important one. There's 5 different methods of procurement that you're allowed to use with federal money. I won't get into them because you can read through this and make sense of it yourself, I'm sure, but it's the micro purchase, small purchase. You have 2 types of competitive bidding. The formal advertising is more for construction contracts, and the negotiation one is really for anything other than construction contracts, like engineering contracts or architectural contracts, professional services, things like that. And then if none of those apply, you have non-competitive proposals, which could be if only a single vendor is able to provide a good or service, whether it's because of their geographic location or because they have a very specific skill set that the city needs. So that happens actually pretty frequently. The next section we have is cash management. And all you have to worry about here is that money you receive, it can either be advanced to you, where then you have to spend the money, or you spend it up front and then it's reimbursed. The whole goal is that the funds, you don't hold on to them too long. The only exception to this that I've ever seen is the ARPA money. They're giving you pretty much unlimited, I wouldn't say unlimited, but you have a long horizon to spend that money. So the whole goal of federal funds is to receive it and spend it quickly. But with the American Rescue Plan, that's the first time I've seen the federal government say you can actually hold on to that money a little bit longer. But that's what this section covers. And then we have sub-recipient monitoring. I won't dive into this, but if you pass money through to other vendors, let's say you can't administer the grant yourself, so you're going to pass it through to this nonprofit or this other village or township or school district to handle a portion of the grant on your behalf, then you have to follow sub-recipient monitoring. You have to make sure that they're spending the money in accordance with the grant. So that's something that's in here as well. Then we have some other federal items just that are uncommon, but still useful. Non-compliance, what to do if you feel that you are non-compliant with grant requirements. And this is good for your staff members. I would recommend distributing this to the employees that need it within the city. And this is good for them to know as well. They shouldn't try to sweep it under the rug and hide it, but really talk to the finance department and try to work out a solution. Equipment and real property, not commonly purchased with federal funds, but if it ever is, you can look at it here as well. Travel costs, and then I just have a couple other areas in here that you can read through. I really just wanted to spend a few minutes to let you know what is in this manual so that it makes more sense to you, because I think the areas that you should focus on is procurement first and foremost, but if you were to read any part of this, I would recommend reading page 4 through page 19. The rest of the stuff, I mean, this is really, pages 4 through 19 is repeating some of the policies that go into much more detail because they're in line with uniform guidance. And that's a requirement, like I mentioned earlier, when you're receiving and spending federal funds. Is there any questions? I really don't want to go through it too detailed, especially because I know you folks have a lot going on tonight. I just wanted you to understand what was in here, just so that when you do take a look at it yourself, it makes more sense to you. It's not just 66 pages of nonsense, but there is a rhyme or reason to it.
Adam, I guess, my main question, and for us all to understand under the procurement, is with the ARPA.
Sure.
And really, what do we need to do, for projects? I saw different limits there on bidding. Is with the federal dollars, do you have to handle that differently than? Because isn't it like $50,000? If something's over $50,000, we have to bid. But then I'm seeing this 10 to 250,000.
Sure.
Where in the competitive field purchases over 250. That's where I'm confused at with this versus non-federal money.
No, I see where you're coming from. So is the city's policy, and I know there's some Ohio revised code sections you have to consider as well, because you can always be more restrictive than what the federal guidelines indicate. And if you have an internal policy to competitively bid all purchases over $50,000, then we should update those limits here, and you should follow that. but that way you have a little bit more consistency. Does that make more sense?
Sure, that's the ORC, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking, that's why I was looking at Bob. Bob Skelton's our law director. That
Sure.
thousand, and we bid, so, and that's just following, like you said, a high revised code.
Mm-hmm. Well, not all items. I have to revisit that section of the Ohio Revised Code. It's been a little bit since I've read it. I had to read it recently for a school district, but not for a city. But not all items have to be competitively bid. It's usually things that are construction related, but the city might have an internal policy that's more restrictive than this, and we should try to mirror that. I'd be all for updating this again to be more in line with your daily activities.
We follow the revised code. We have no internal policies that are different.
Okay.
And then I
Well,
think when I had emailed about, Mark, our mayor had mentioned, if our own employees did, certain projects with stormwater and so forth, tracking that, do we have to bid all the projects under the ARPA?
It depends on what the project is, but you should always, typically they're going to be more than $10,000, which would require some form of procurement. So let's use the ORC threshold of $50,000. And I think it would be worth us actually taking a more detailed look at that ORC. So I can't see you guys really well right now because I'm sharing my screen, but the law director is in there. Is that correct? Well, it would be good for us, or for us both, to take a look at that just to be sure what items have to be bid under that revised code section. Because then we compare that, I can compare that to the uniform guidance, to see if there's any similarities and differences, because certainly there could be some differences, but there also likely are going to be many similarities. But if it's under that $50,000 threshold, but over the $10,000 threshold stipulated in the uniform guidance, you would have to do some informal procedures, just some general inquiry. You can make a few phone calls. You could check out online on their websites, and you want to find the best price for you want to find the most bang for your buck so that your federal dollars go further. That's the whole point of procurement. But if it's over 50 grand and we feel it needs to be competitively bid, and that's something that we have to do at the very beginning of the project to make sure you select the right vendor.
Okay.
But that's something I can check into. I can look at that revised code section. I know exactly what you all are referring to. And it's okay to be more restrictive. You don't need to be less restrictive.
Do you have anything else, Bob?
No, I need to read it and then maybe I'll reach out to you if I have questions.
Please do. Sherry, feel free to share my information with them and we can talk through it, because this is meant to be tailored to you. The thresholds that are in here are just what the thresholds that are in the uniform guidance. So we just kind of regurgitate them into this form, but we can certainly peel it back and make it more specific to your city.
Okay.
Anybody else? Anybody have any questions?
Anybody else have any questions for Adam?
Not at this time.
Okay, Adam, we'll just go ahead and continue to take a look at it, and from my understanding, council just needs to adopt the policy. Once we get it then all finalized, we can look at that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll work through that, get it finalized, and then we can start following it and starting to actually, if you have to, procure some of these ARPA funds.
Okay, and then we can maybe look for that on our next meeting on the 25th to
Sure.
get that adopted.
So, excuse me, Adam, if the mayor or our service director wants to start thinking about projects and have things, are they able to go ahead and like start working on some of those, the policies?
You mean like referring to the policies? Like as they're absolute, I mean, the policies that we're providing now aren't going to change a ton. I think the main item that might change is going to be some of the thresholds. But I still think you can refer to them, just realize that they're in draft form. And they could possibly change, but yeah, I think it's great to start looking through them. I'm sure you all have had some discussions about what you might spend the funds on, and you'll continue to have those discussions. All the cities that we work with are still considering their projects they're gonna use their funds for. It's an ongoing process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome. I'll look into some of that stuff for you. And Sherry, should I reach out to you, or should I reach out to, or is the law director going to reach out to me?
Probably both.
Okay,
Share your contact information with Bob and we'll just go from there.
sounds good. All right, no problem.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. You all have a great meeting.
You too, thanks.
All right, bye.
I always like getting the answer in the form of a question. Like ask a question and get a question.
Yeah. Does anybody have anything else on that?
Quick internal question. Which of the council committees should be the focus for working with this? Grants and economic development or something else?
Well, I guess it would fall under grants and economic development, but it's also going to probably include like infrastructure.
It's,
Oh, it would include a number of.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we're just gonna have the policy for you, and I, Bob, I mean, to me, I think it can just even be accepted in the minutes or as a resolution, just adopting the
That part, yeah,
policies.
yeah.
But.
He means
I mean,
as the money comes in, I'm assuming, do I interpret that
Yeah.
correctly? You're saying as, once we get the money, then
Well, at that
who's
point,
going to be
at
involved in
that
the
point, it'd be
project?
finance.
Yeah.
But depend on what the project would be, I would guess.
Right.
oh,
Well, if
okay,
it's
I was,
wastewater
I thought you meant
or whatever.
specific, the policy, I'm
So-
sorry.
No, not
No,
the
you're talking
policy.
about
but
projects.
Yeah.
I'm talking about review. I'm talking about doing some more homework on it.
Yeah. I-
This is so broad, it might just be everybody.
Well, I think right now, I think it's going to depend on what committees, or excuse me, what projects
Okay,
then would be dispersed out to the committees.
makes sense. Thank
We
you.
can hash that out, I think, as the mayor and Max come up with the project.
As time goes on. Sure.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. Anything else?
Do we have a time frame as far as coming up with a project that
We have a list, I think they've been sent to council with the list from utilities that we have a number of projects that are ready to go.
This
As
might be
far as-
spent over like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're ready
So-
to go.
So do you guys have those prioritized?
No, but we can do it.
I,
quick.
yeah,
I mean,
But it's
I think
mostly
council-
water and stormwater,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, I would
It's
say,
water and
that's what we had
stormwater.
talked about
Water,
before.
We'd have to
Water,
get
sewer, and
I mean,
stormwater,
that's
yeah.
the Prices that we have now,
Right,
so.
yeah,
but I think what,
we're ready. I mean, anytime you guys are ready, we have a list of.
yeah,
we-
I think I'm just speaking for council here is that I think we'd like to, I think we would like for them to be prioritized and organized,
Yeah,
so.
we're
You know what I
talking-
mean?
Yeah,
Yes.
and we're talking 1.1 million.
Right. It's
It's
gonna go in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I understand
I mean,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Two projects, maybe.
Maybe two.
frees up
Right.
Right,
money
that's
that
good,
we
right,
would have to spend.
most
Right.
definitely, and that's
So-
what we have to see, what we may never, ever receive funding for again.
Right.
That's where we need to take advantage of this money to do, that's what we're gonna have to talk about, so.
Right, as long as we're looking at prioritizing, we're good. Is that what, council, you guys agree with that, right?
Yes.
Okay,
But as far as like a process of getting, we have a list, and we're ready to go.
There's no doubt you
there. It
guys
just-
have a list.
Yeah, it's,
You know what I mean?
our list is,
Yep.
is long, so.
okay. So on the financial statements and with the financial committee, Sherry sent out everything, so when we go to council, Sherry, you have anything to add on any of that?
Nothing for tonight, but then for, in 2 weeks, I do have some transfers that I'll
Okay.
need.
Yeah, because I listed them on here, but they're also on the agenda and the dates and things, so all those things are on there.
Those things, but these are new ones
Those are new for 2 weeks.
for 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So what she sent out in the email we need to okay. Okay. She also had some additional transfers and things. I just put those on there for everyone. Tom, you have anything else?
Nothing further, no.
I do appreciate that, Sherry, for all those things that you sent.
But these are, I don't think you guys know about these ones yet, right?
No,
These are, that, so,
that's what you emailed us. All those are what you emailed us
yes, for tonight,
for tonight.
yeah. So do you want me to tell you, request the ones that I need for, in 2 weeks?
You want those up for 2 weeks? You want them on
So
there
you'll
tonight?
be, no, I don't want them on tonight. I want them to be on the agenda in 2 weeks.
That's perfect.
But do you want me to tell you what they are?
Sure.
That's what I'm going to.
Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah.
wasn't sure what you're. Okay, so I need to transfer $3,000 from street IT support computer to their routine engineering. $5,000 from street traffic light repairs to street routine engineering. And Max can comment on what these are for. It's an engineering of,
It's for the traffic light study that we received the $500,000.
Didn't we get some money for,
Well, we will.
yeah,
Some
Yeah,
years.
it's like a 2024 project, but
Yeah,
they want the
2024.
engineering done now.
okay, yeah.
So we had to come up with the initial
$10,000.
$10,000 for them to do that part of the engineering. The whole engineering cost obviously is a lot more than that. It's like 40-some thousand, but this will get us through this year. So
So we had extra in these other line items that we can just transfer to routine engineering. There was already another, 3,900 there. So what Max has to pay here this year, this will take care of it. Dave K-Dry had requested $10,000, 708 Water West Lafayette capital improvement to be transferred to the Water West Lafayette materials and maintenance line. And then 65,000 from the 701 water capital improvement to the water distribution maintenance. He has several break repairs and so forth that he wants to capture them all under distribution maintenance rather than under the capital improvements, which are all under the $5,000 threshold. So those transfers I'll have to you in 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Anything? Okay, ordinances. Max, did you come up with anything else on, have you communicated anything with the lot sizes, 917?
we have not.
Okay. Okay, I wasn't sure, I hadn't heard anything, but I know we have the sheriff's contract on tonight
Yes.
that will need emergency pass, correct?
We have a resolution as well for around 36.
Yeah.
Funding that needs passed.
Yeah, and we have a resolution up that needs to go through. On Exhibit A, I do have a question on Exhibit A, which is basically outlines the property investigator, code investigators. Who is, I know Jeff's a liaison. Okay, so who's he going to answer to?
He's gonna answer to myself and the sheriff.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
dual roles. He's got
Do-
2 bosses.
okay, all
And
right.
11,000 people, so I guess that's it. Right. We still
Probably
haven't
more
worked
than that.
specifics out, where he's going to be, where he's working out of. We've kind of said, let's see how it goes, like, let's just.
See where it
let's
leads
see.
you.
Yeah, there's a lot of small details that aren't worked out, but in the next, that's why we want to get this passed. So between now and the end of the year, instead of January 1, like, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do this? There's a lot of logistics
Okay.
that we need to work out. So that's something that he will be reporting to both of us. And he will be probably working out of here as well as working out of the sheriff's office, but it's nothing that we're gonna like fight about to
Right.
make sure he's we're just gonna have to see. Really where I want him to work out of is a car with a star. That's where he's going to be working out of. So that's kind of, am I right, Sheriff? So that's where I told him his office was gonna be.
You want to repaint
And a
that Jeep,
cruiser,
put a
yeah,
star on it?
and a cruiser. No, he's got an old beat up car he can give him.
Now, will we still
I
get,
wouldn't put no words
Yeah.
on me in that.
Tom,
will we still get
a
monthly report from Jeff, or will that
Yes.
part of the sheriff's
Yeah.
report, or
I
how?
don't see why not.
However, my two bosses tell me to do it.
Yeah, I don't, to me, I don't see why, actually, hopefully you see the numbers go up on code enforcement and things that are getting done, so.
Yeah. Actually, I know what, because I'd emailed Jeff in August when we were out, and he said he usually didn't do one, and then we haven't gotten one. An
Yeah,
updated
you
one.
should have got an update. I emailed it out last week.
Yeah, the other day I got one from Jeff.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you'll still get
emailed my report
reports.
last week.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Anybody else? Sheriff's contract? Mhm.
Jim, so I know, are you anticipating then the auditor to have one check for the contract and then another for,
Well, that's one of the things.
for the
we need to work
liaison?
out
Okay,
On
Because
how
we-
you want it billed and how you want to pay it.
Okay.
and
because will you be creating another line item like you do with your school resources, like in there?
Again, that's totally up to you guys. If you want to show it as that, that's fine. If you want it just to, doesn't matter. I mean, it's under one contract, it's an exhibit. So I don't know, without doing a separate contract, that I need, that I could do a.
I guess I was just
separate line
thinking
item.
under this one contract, you
I
doesn't
would
have. it
create a line
received.
item that's in the 150, the 150 account.
Which the others are in the
But it
150.
wouldn't be a separate 150 account. We'll still maintain three, which is my SRO, my Warsaw, and then the city.
Okay, I didn't know if this would be enough.
No,
I was
because I
just-
don't, it's not a separate contract. It's just an addendum to this
Yeah,
contract.
I get it. I mean, I guess I understand that part, but you know, with this exhibit, an addendum doesn't specify an exact amount per year.
It was just what he's
You know,
being paid,
Yeah,
not what you have now.
I couldn't specify the amount because raises are given each year and therefore the amounts will change.
Right, and it's whatever the amount is for that position is the amount.
yeah, I know, but you know, it says plus, plus salary expenses and healthcare, which that changes, I guess that changes every year.
I do have a question. Now, if you fall behind on your deputies, are we gonna lose Jeff to a cruiser for, you know what I mean?
Jeff is going to be brought in as unclassified exempt employee. He's not part of the union. He's
Okay, okay,
solely at the privilege of
Okay.
us.
all right.
You like to be exempt, don't you? Yeah. So, he's gonna not do anything on the road that he hasn't done in the past when he was in a vehicle. If he hears a call on the radio for a backup, he's there. If our guys need to back him up, they're there.
right.
He's not gonna be filling shifts
Okay,
because he's not part of
okay.
the
Yeah.
force,
Right, okay.
the road division.
All right. I'm good with that
That
answer.
answer?
I'm good with that answer.
You are, and you are going to add personnel with this contract.
Yes.
Right, so that's another benefit to this contract. There's none specified, and I don't care to mention the number that we are going to have, but it's going to be more than what we have now. I think the shift changes are beneficial to the residents. And I think that people are going to see more of a presence, and I think we're definitely getting our money's worth out of this contract.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I've already noticed a difference
Right.
in cars, so that's appreciated, so.
Yeah.
If we get more, that's even better.
And the public can do what they can do to help, like stop beating their significant others and slow down when they're
Well,
on
that's,
the road.
that's something else. We gotta stay on task
Yeah.
here.
The
Get off our
public can do
soapbox.
anything to help this cost,
Yeah.
and we can stop adding if people just did what they needed to do.
Well, that's why we have law enforcement too.
Right, in
Okay.
the perfect world.
Yes.
Right, right.
Dave's not here. Okay.
Yeah, that goes back.
I know Roger had a request. He and I were talking about this a little bit. Maybe you could relay this message. Is that he sent us this
The-
ordinance.
Yeah, the proposed
Oh.
change in the utilities.
And
I did read through it, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure where and what was changed. I know in some areas there's italicized language or strike throughs.
Should have been, everything should have been highlighted or.
Well, I honestly, the only thing I saw was some italicized or underlined.
That should have been the changes. There
That's
weren't
it.
Wholesale changes.
Okay, but I guess I was looking for something with the rate changes or I guess the red tag changes.
Yeah, because he was gonna do all that on your bill, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I guess that's what I was looking for. and I didn't see anything like that in there.
A lot of that, like the rate changes, there's going to be exhibits. So that when rate changes happen, we don't have to go back and change the actual ordinances.
Right.
We just change the rates by ordinance, but so that's one of the purposes of doing it this way. So we don't have to keep going back in and changing the ordinances every time things change. You know?
So I guess what, only thing I'm really seeing is language that is omitted. So you're saying anything is struck through or anything that's not in bold has been a change and that's it.
Yeah, yes.
All right,
Yeah, and if
I mean,
you
I
want to,
shouldn't say that because I don't know what he sent you, but that's what he sent me.
if you want to meet with them anytime, stop in.
I guess if we could just get a Reader's Digest version
Yeah.
of, condensed. to a list.
Cliff notes?
Yeah,
Okay.
6 things changed, that's it.
Right.
Dave will be here after that. He had something
Okay.
I had to do, so.
Okay, maybe we can come back to this.
Can I ask a question about that though? Are you then telling me you're not ready for it in 2 weeks?
No, could be.
If he
Yeah,
comes
we just
in?
get a simplified,
Because
for a
one thing
simpleton
I
to
would like
understand.
right now is to ask to put it on the agenda for 2 weeks, if your questions are answered.
it's probably something we should have, at least I feel we should have 3 readings on. I don't know what Dave's feeling or your feeling is, but
But that's up to you, it doesn't matter.
anybody else?
No, I just, my question on that was, when he first presented this, is that he's talking about how much money was going to be saved by doing the,
By doing away with the red tags or,
and then they come up with a rate increase. So if you're saving money, why are the rates going up and where are we getting the numbers for the rate increase? That's my question.
It's a rate study.
That's the
It's-
study.
Yeah, it's
That's the
paid
RCAP
for.
study.
It's
And that takes
professional.
into account the savings that were,
Yeah, it takes, I mean, they do it, and we can explain that process.
And
down the road.
right. And the other thing that I was asking about is like what Chad brought up at our last meeting with the extra money, $9 or $10 that's already on the bill. Has that been considered? Have you guys talked about that anymore?
Instead of increasing the rates, just keeping that in
Well,
place.
that is its own animal, so I think
that
I think
And that's not like
honestly,
till like 2023, right? That was the
Right,
other
we
issue.
have another-
22.
right,
We have one more year, right? I
Stop
think,
payment
with it.
October 2023. So that's the issue we still have that time between there where we need.
right. No,
Right.
that's a whole different, once that's done, that's done. So if you want something else like that, and we need to discuss that in a different venue. So there's some ideas that we have come up with on what we're gonna do. To me, you can raise rates. You can say that that $9.95, $9.75 charge is there. The rate study is something that you need to dig into and actually look at and see where and how. And we can explain that to you, how all that works. But I mean, the number's the number. As far as I'm concerned, here's the cost. And they have a whole formula on the rate study on that. So it's not like Max is sitting behind the curtain like the Oz and saying like, hey, here's what I want water.
Well, I know we had the RCAP study the last time we raised rates, which I'm thinking
It's been 4 years ago.
Yeah,
2018.
not many more than that.
Our
2018 was the last rate increase.
So, and
Right.
I guess at the time I also understood with the monies that we received from the West Lafayette project, that would maybe help solve any future rate increase.
That money can only be spent in West Lafayette.
Right.
Yeah, the West Lafayette assets that were transferred have to be used in West Lafayette.
But the money-
But the money,
project.
the monthly money, that was.
Yeah, the
coming in.
additional
Monthly money will
monies.
go into the general.
That's what I'm
It's,
talking about.
it's in the water fund, but it's, you have to remember, like Dave said the other day, I mean, I'd have to go back and look and give you an estimate of what it is. But what we're bringing in is because their rates, they were paying a lot higher rate than what
I
we
understand
are.
that.
So
Mhm.
it, you know, it might be
But I think we also,
$180,000-$200,000.
and that,
It's around 2 to 240 is what.
well, I think the initial
Yeah.
figure we were told was 250, which that's pretty
It's
close.
revenue positive.
Did we not, in the meeting that was in West Lafayette that we went to, did we not say that their rates wouldn't go up?
For 1 year.
For one.
Yeah, I think they have 1 year
For 1
grace,
year.
don't they?
And then they will reflect whatever rates our inside customers are paying.
Yeah, and I want everyone to know, no one wants to pay more, but we don't want to pay more for doing business, and there's a cost of doing business, and we have to cover that cost. So it's not, we're out to get people, or rip people off. There's a cost of doing business, and we have to cover that cost, or we go out of business, and when we go out of business, everyone loses, so.
And, you know, if I can, water, sewer, those are enterprise funds. You know, on your budget and everything, those are enterprise funds. You need to generate revenue in there, you know, because you can't take those, you can't take any fund into negative, but you truly don't want to take an enterprise fund, you know, into a deficit. But at some point, just like the chemical bids, every chemical bid went up.
Right, what was that,
And-
like 10% on the chemical?
Yeah,
bids?
and
Right.
so that's where, if your revenue is staying here and there hasn't been an increase in the rates since 2018, but in the meantime, the chemicals and everything else is going up, at some point you have to do
Mhm.
something.
Well, and the capital improvement that we need in both plants, we need to generate revenue, because we need to, for some reason, over the past couple decades, we saved money. We didn't save money, we delayed
Delayed
improving
spending.
infrastructure, and we have had made no capital improvement to our plants. So now is the time that we need to think about, hey, and that's on the list of projects. Now's the time where we have to think about improving and setting ourselves up. Not raising rates for 4 years and what your costs are going up is not a way to generate revenue. So,
We just need to see numbers.
right, I think it's a
And I
lot
think
easier.
it's in that
to
RCAP.
visualize.
It is.
It's in those, yeah.
And we need to break it down into the Reader's Digest as well, because it's about
Yeah,
a
it's
48-page
Yeah,
document.
bring your readers.
Anybody else?
The other one, I did receive, and I don't know if everybody else, or at least the ordinance committee, received an email from Jeff regarding ordinance 149.03. Got that set, so if you get a chance to read through what he sent out. I don't know, Glenn, Tom, got those or
I
not.
think that just went to the two maybe.
Okay.
Just to
And maybe that's something we can discuss at the next committee meeting.
Jeff, you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, we've had complaints of people living in campers because of the homeless problem. So people are letting them on their lot with their campers. It's hard to prove that somebody's living in a camper because, you know, you don't sit there all night to see if they're in and out or not. So I started looking, a lot of other cities have requirements. Number one, you know, I get complaints that this camper's been sitting in the yard and hadn't been moved for 3 years. Well, okay, the cities are saying if you got a camper in your yard, it has to have current tags on it and it has to be operational so you can move, just like our junk cars are. They have to be on a hard surface. They can't just be sitting on the ground so they're sinking into the ground. They can't be connected to water. They can't be connected to electricity. unless they're only for a certain amount of days when you're getting ready to go camping again. I would like to add to that, that they have to have a cover over them, because if they've got a cover over them, that cover's tied down, makes it tough for somebody to get inside to sleep all night and tie the cover back down. So it just makes enforcement easier, and it will clean things up, because some of the campers we've got sitting around town now that I can't touch under any ordinance, we can make people either clean them up or get rid of them. So that's an enforcement issue that has been haunting us, and it makes enforcement a little bit easier.
Right, and we don't want a tent or a camper city either.
Yeah, I mean, right now we have an ordinance that you can't sleep in a camper.
Well, you had, you sent this, I didn't have a chance to go through it or anything, so what you sent on the back of the ordinance, did you redo anything?
No, all those was for you to look at. Those are sample ordinances from other cities for you to
Okay.
take a look at. And I thought what we could do is sit down, pick through those, pick what we like out of them and create our own.
I like it. And we don't want to make it hard if you own a camper to store your camper. We don't want people doing
Right,
things in campers that shouldn't be doing things in campers.
I agree. So can you send that to the other ordinance?
I'll
do that.
I'll send it right now to
Okay.
Tom and Glenn.
And I don't know what happened to mine. I found it went out October the 6th, but it must have went to an old email address. So I will print that out between meetings and give you my copy, a hard copy of my report, but I can elaborate on it as well.
Anybody have any questions on that? Glenn?
Off topic a little bit, related topic.
Okay.
The infamous white pickup with the homeless couple living in them.
They're not homeless.
Where's her home?
They rent a house on Locust Street across from the bank.
Oh,
So they choose to sleep in the truck instead of sleep in the house, but they do have
Thank
a
you.
house that they rent from T5 Rentals.
okay. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any
Probably
questions
judge
about
what-
the trailers or outside
Probably
camper?
judge what the house is like.
Right.
Anyone?
We still in ordinance?
Yes, sir.
There was a gentleman here last meeting about miniature horse. I believe we told him at that time that we would discuss that in committee.
Yeah, and I do have that. We sent a letter I just got, Jeff just handed it to me. So they have, I feel like I'm on the spot now, but here's what they sent. And I don't know, I think that's something that we need to discuss right now, because as you said, we said that we would discuss it. But our ordinance, as it reads right now,
5 acres for any kind of farm animal. They're in an R1 district. The only thing I would like to interject is if you let these people put
Right.
a farm animal in an R1 district,
Yeah.
it opens up
Yeah.
2/3 of your city, because we can't be selective and say, yeah, you can do it. Oh, but no, Chad, you can't do it.
Didn't we have some chickens here in
We had
town last
chickens,
year?
well, our
We still
ordinance
do.
our ordinance allows for chickens. If they can meet the setback requirements for the coop, they're allowed to have chickens, and I don't agree with that,
Right.
but that's been an ordinance for a long time. You had an ordinance that they changed at one point in time for a potbelly pig that was
Just
a
one.
service animal. That pig has passed away, so it's time, my opinion, it's time to get rid of that ordinance. I don't think people that live in an R1 district want to have animals living right beside them, because how close our properties are. I mean, you got 15 feet between houses. Most of these lots are less than 50 feet wide, as we're finding out as we're tearing houses down and can't rebuild on them. There's just not enough room for an animal to be in an R1 district, I don't.
So we've made exceptions for chickens.
That ordinance has been there since before I got here.
Well, but at one
some
time,
point in
someone
time They
did.
did, yes.
That could have been 1880s.
Yes, at one point in time they did, and
So you're
How was it?
I'm thinking, I don't get a lot of, I probably have got 3 complaints on chickens since I've been in this job.
Well, I know we had one probably,
A couple months ago, 2 or 3 months ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably 3 or 4 years ago too.
Yeah.
We just had one.
So I've not got a lot of them, I've got a few. I referred one to Bob, who said her chickens were therapy chickens.
It's difficult for people to even meet the requirements of the ordinance if they want to have a chicken coop. It doesn't mean if you want to get rid of it, get rid of it, but that ordinance has been there
Forever.
67 years.
Yeah.
I went out to the gentleman's property, and I know the ordinance is very clear, right in there, it says horses. The USDA doesn't require, or doesn't classify horses as livestock for some reason. The only ones they say are livestock are if they are sold for meat or whatever. They classify horses as domesticated animals instead of livestock. But I know as far as the ordinance, our ordinance goes, it's very plain that it's horses. He has kept the pens very clean. He has two different pens, one in the back of his lot and one toward the front. So there's really no problem with smells or any of that. I actually petted the miniature horse. The neighbor has a Great Dane larger than that.
So is this a Hatfield McCoy situation?
Yes.
Very, very much so.
And when he was in, I suggest to him, there's a neighbor behind him that owns a large amount of ground up there.
I saw
I
that.
said, go up there and rent space from them, put your barn up there, your problem solved. But they want to keep the animal close to the house. So,
Not necessarily this particular gentleman, because he does take care of his animals. But if you let him do it.
I know,
Right.
they're
Yeah,
right.
right there.
They're letting
somebody's
someone
gonna put-
else
that
who
doesn't
won't take care.
necessarily
Take care of their
clean
animals.
up, take care of things, and
You got issues.
I think that's a good solution if he's able to lease.
Does that property butt up to his?
yeah, on the backside, I mean, it goes right to the price. He's got less than an acre in two combined lots down there. But I think if he could rent off the guy behind him, it looks like he's got quite a bit, he could move the animal far enough away that, you know, it don't have to be 200 feet from a lot line if they've got 5 acres. So he could get that, I think, without any problem.
If farm animals are forbidden, it would still be considered a farm animal.
Your ordinance, you have to keep in mind, USDA may not classify them as farm animals. But the city at some point in time went more strict, which you can do in any law or ordinance, you can always go more strict. They've gone more strict and spelled out horses as part of that ordinance. So it's a good ordinance. I mean, it's not anything you can say, well, you know, that ordinance is out of bounds because it's not classified as a horse. Well, Coshocton is classified a horse as a farm animal.
I guess my feeling is if we're going to ban this horse according to our ordinance, then we need to include chickens.
Yeah. Why not?
And does that fall into a grandfathering problem then, for people that already have them?
probably. But, you know, at least we stop future chickens.
Right.
So do we need a registration process to register your chickens?
And
They still have to comply with the
And
ordinance.
a fee, I knew that was coming.
Right now, chickens, the coops have to be what, 50 feet from any residence? Is that-
Yes, 50 feet from the residence, you have to have them 50 feet from the lot line.
There's a couple of chicken coops in town that are not, because we allow it.
Well, but also it's different if it's in an R1 or an R2. R2 is less restrictive than an R1.
As far as their yard being mowed and the pens kept clean.
Well, that was the complaint
So-
that I had was the feces, you know, the disposal of the feces, so.
I don't mind anything being
out.
grandfathered in, but you know, if we're gonna stick to our guns on the ordinance, then it needs to be revamped.
Can you create a chicken task force? Sheriff?
Nope, we created chicken barbecue.
Oh, jeez.
So I think that, I don't know, does anybody else have anything on this? The ordinance is clear, and
Yes, it is.
I understand where the gentleman's coming from. he does have a solution.
And when I sent him the letter and they came back to me knowing you were coming here, I gave them till November the 1st to come up with a solution to do something with this animal. So
Okay.
we still have time for them to work on getting something figured out.
I've known a number of people in town who own horses that don't keep them in town.
Right.
There's plenty of places you can have access outside the city limits.
Well, I mean, you know, from what they're trying, it sounds more like they're trying to put this off as a therapy animal or service animal, and they're gonna take it and get it trained, and for what, I don't know, but they were really working towards that direction. And I just, you know, I explained to them, we had a pig allowance at one time and it's gone. So their animal didn't fall into it, and I referred them to Bob, I think he pretty much told the same thing.
Big ordinance is still there.
It's there, but I thought it was only for that one pig.
No, it's, I think if they classify it, and I forget the exact language, but somebody classifies it as a therapy animal
Okay.
and they come and register it, then they can have an potbelly pig.
Yeah, medical professional
Mhm.
rights gives a written document that is therapeutic.
So if a guy brings us a written document from a medical professional saying this is a therapeutic mini horse, what do we do?
I think if he traded the pig for the horse, problem solved.
Or ordinance doesn't allow therapy horses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably it's time to lose the therapy pig too.
I think that's something that we need to,
Throw chickens
Take-
in also.
yeah, I think we need to take a look at it. You know, it's a pet. It's no different than somebody having a dog being attached to a dog or a cat. You know, he's got to move that horse. So I don't want to make light of the situation. It's his animal.
Right.
And,
Right.
you know, I don't think we need, we got to take his feelings into consideration here, but the ordinance is clear. And in my opinion, I think that we need to look at the other animals that are allowable.
My suggestion would be that with the 5 acres, other animals are allowed. So
Right.
my suggestion would be do away with the ordinance that stipulates for 50 feet from park line for chickens and just refer everything back to that one ordinance. And if you've got 5 acres in town, you can have this. If you don't, you can't have animals.
And I would ask that Jeff, if maybe you could make contact with them and you may, I mean, if he's gonna go ask that guy or try to find another place, you may have to extend that
And I can
November
do that.
1st.
You know, I'm going to work with anybody if they're working with me.
Okay,
Okay, I'll touch base with them tomorrow.
okay. Anybody else? Okay. Infrastructure, we were sent, I think Cherry sent these out, right? I guess somebody, right? It's 2022's paving. That we have to, it's the resolution that we're going to accept tonight. And it has, it's all the streets. Did you guys get all those? Did you guys get those as well? So, Glenn, you have anything to add to
Just,
that?
is it possible to prioritize Roscoe White Run Street so that it doesn't get eliminated?
Oh, and can you guys give us that list, Max? Can you update a list of the streets that we've already done?
Yeah, we're working on
Yeah,
them.
I've got clear
Yeah,
from
we
them.
have it.
Well, I
The
see,
advent of the
Roger
letter.
sent out a list and it showed every street, but I don't think any of them were updated.
Yeah, you said you were gonna go through, and I think you're working on that,
Yeah,
right?
we're actually doing a color.
Or
code.
eliminate,
Oh, that's right.
eliminate the ones we've
Matt.
already done.
We have.
Yeah, what we're doing is color coding all the streets that's been done under the
Okay.
street levy. And then I will show you what's left to be done. We've done 33.5 miles, of the 65 miles.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I did talk to somebody, Max, that appreciated the filling in of the huge crater at the end of Sarah Drive. And still getting questions of where we are on, not from Tom either, he lives there.
No, we're
Spitler
still-
Hill, still
Tom and I was talking about this morning.
good.
Or early this morning.
And the alley behind Cassingham Avenue. There's still there's been quite a bit of repair. There's still
Right.
one pothole there.
There's, we're gonna work on some drainage there too.
Okay.
That's kind of.
I haven't heard from the guy, not complaining or thanking, but
That's a whole huge low, it's a lake when it rains,
Yeah.
so we're gonna work, we're out. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, it's.
I know we've
there.
done quite a bit of work there. There's still
Yeah,
a
it
couple areas.
needs.
We did get a lot of comments on hydraulic from the residents over there. The guys did put in a lot of effort and I think that project turned out very well.
So let's get back to Glenn's question. Are these going to be prioritized, Max, or are these definitely going to be done,
These are the ones that are submitted to be
submitted
done.
to be done?
My point though is, we've had the recent complaints about White Woman Street. I know all the background to it. But we've had that on the list for at least 3 years.
2 years,
Okay,
2020, 2021.
okay. Can we, when we talk to the commissioners, can we go in with all the arguments of why that should be a priority?
But it's not the commissioners who we talked to. It's
Well,
the-
pardon me, I was told that we
County
submitted it, but when it came back through the county,
Yeah, the county engineers.
oh,
actually.
okay, pardon me.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, we've been working with Roscoe on a resolution, the curbing sidewalks. We've met with the Roscoe Village Business Association, the Montgomery Foundation, Roscoe Village Foundation on improving drainage and curbing and even.
Excuse me, Mark, isn't there a meeting at October?
Yeah, the
20
end, yeah. the
29th,
end, yeah,
I-
the end,
yeah, I-
and if you're invited to come.
At
to
9
that if you
a.m.
want to.
Yeah,
Had a lot of fun.
yeah,
October what?
I recall.
29th.
I'd emailed and asked when it
Friday,
was, so.
Yeah, and that way, you can join in the conversation there because it's an asset to our community and the tourism part as well. What we're gonna do in Roscoe is actually pave the parking areas. So before we just paved 2 long strips down the
Right.
middle and everything else was
Right.
left, so we plan on, we've been working with Chad and Roscoe and talking to him. I've been over there several times to get a solution to that problem
Thank you.
throughout the village, because it is,
I have
problem
confidence
with
in
it
whatever
is-
you guys do. It's
Right.
going to be done right.
Right.
And the big thing is, like you guys said, is those curves.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those railroad ties have to go.
It's
I'm
just
sorry.
hard, the grading of.
I was looking at those today. You've got those railroad ties on the
Time
side of the
was-
hill.
To the jewelry store on
So,
one side.
Yeah, and in front of the warehouse, the catch basin, that tree in front of the warehouse has grown into the street, into the catch basin. In front of the warehouse is really the most affected area or the area of need over there in Roscoe. I mean, and it gets the most traffic for people
Right.
going in and out of the
Sure.
warehouse.
And year round here.
Right, yeah, oh, most definitely.
they'll be swamped this weekend.
How do you address the curbing being higher than the sidewalk? On the lower side?
That's a problem.
Worse.
Yeah, we had a 2-hour meeting today with county commissioners, the head of the Roscoe Business Administration, myself, Mark was on kind of problem solving. We didn't solve anything. We got some ideas going forward. I've got pricing here on what all new ties will cost up and down that street both ways. That gets into manpower, labor. Yeah, the paving part of that, as I've said before, that's the easy part of that. That's
Yeah. But why would we replace ties with ties?
because that may be all we can afford to do, and they've lasted since 1968.
Okay.
So
Right, we need that's the option.
they like the aesthetics of that.
Well, and it.
Historically inaccurate, but they like.
Yeah, there
I
wasn't.
don't know if they had railroad ties when
I
the
think-
canals went through. I really doubt.
Right, the railroad actually
Railroads
ran
follow.
the canal out of business,
Yeah.
so we're
You're
remembering
absolutely right.
both eras.
That's
Okay.
obscure view of history.
Yeah.
For our next committee meeting, I think Roger, Tom, I think we need to have a meeting with Port Authority.
Yeah,
Get
the
one
plan is
scheduled
to
maybe
meet
for
with
next week.
Tiffany after they have their monthly meeting. So
Okay.
I think that's maybe the third Monday of the month.
Okay. Then we can have a report maybe next time.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see here. Mayor's report, you guys, Terry sent out his reports for July, August, and September. You guys get those? Okay. The art mob, I saw, all this stuff's on there. Are we, is the art, is Heimbach lot all done now?
There's a
Been
little
paid
more,
for?
there's a little more painting on the building that's going to get done, but other than that.
That place looks great.
Yeah, we've had zero issues, so I'm thinking that cameras will work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw somebody at Roger's age down there shooting hoops.
It was actually Roger.
I was dunking.
So it's all the building permits and. So with that, Mayor, you have anything else you want to add?
I want to address parking downtown. This past week, I talked to Jayla Braxton at the downtown warehouse. He'd been parking his box truck downtown. The way the ordinance reads, there's a lot of stipulations. It has to be 12 inches in the line, which is kind of comical to me because the city truck that Max drives is actually 12 inches out of the line. So that's one of the guidelines.
You're out of line.
People pull their trucks up on the curb, and there's an ordinance that was passed, I think 18 or 19 to prevent that, which falls under the same thing as a box truck. He's saying it's single axle, it's moved every 48 hours. It's still out of the lines. I like problems because I like to find solutions to the problems. So what I did is a lot that we're doing nothing with on Hickory Street is now a parking lot. So, but with that, our city ordinance, within a year, it has to be paved. So for now, I took the no parking signs out. Anyone can park there. His box truck's there. It's off the street. If anyone else wants to park there, fine. To me, I want to get rid of that lot. So I'd love to put that lot out for bid and sell it. So if anyone's interested at some point, if you guys agree, I would love to get rid of the lot. So if Jaleb's interested or whoever else is interested in the lot,
You just have to put it out for bid, right?
that's it. So I don't have any future plans for it. He has zero parking in front of his business for him to park that truck.
If they pull up on the sidewalk, like down there, they get on them brick and they
Right,
just tears
and
it.
Right,
Yeah.
and they can hit the lights, there's
Fire hydrants, there's all
electric,
kinds
right,
of stuff
there's-
down there.
So what I recommend is if you have a big truck parked in the city parking lot that's behind the businesses, I know it's gonna be 20 more steps, but it's something that we will probably focus on writing tickets. I don't want to run people out of downtown restaurants or downtown businesses, but you can't, I know they don't want the back of their truck hit, but we don't want infrastructure ruined up on the
Right.
curb, and I can't tell Jaleb, hey, move your truck, because this is the ordinance, and then let
Right.
everyone else do whatever they want to do.
Right.
So that's, I have a solution for now, and
It's a temporary solution. And if, like you said, if it's 20 extra steps, they gotta, it's
right,
20
don't
extra
pull
steps.
up on the curb,
Right.
and that's, downtown, I have a picture in my office that Model Ts are on that's what downtown was built for, not Ford F-450s that are big trucks. So I just asked the public to park, if you have a huge truck, park in the city lot, so you're not sticking out on Main Street and you're not pulled up. And what's fair is fair, and I can't go after Jaleb and say everyone else do whatever you want to do. So if
Maybe
you
we ought
want
to go back to parallel parking.
well, and that's something that I want to talk to Laney about is, I think ODOT told us,
Suggested that.
ODOT
From a
suggested
safety
that. So,
standpoint, that's how.
It's a lost art, but how, if cars will park themselves.
and we've even explored parking meters. So if that gets anyone excited,
Didn't we pass an ordinance about longer trucks and stuff?
Yeah, that's what
yeah,
he's talking about.
it's under like
19.
his truck.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying, the Yukon, it doesn't even meet the city ordinance.
The only place we have long enough to accommodate a newer pickup truck is Third Street.
So don't go downtown, Max.
It's even worse than Roscoe.
Mhm.
Third,
Yeah.
Third Street between the restaurant and
First
the,
Street between Main and Chestnut are the longer.
they're over the curbs
They
all the
are,
time.
those are the longer, those parking places are
And
longer
that's-
than Main Street.
Everyone wants a 30-minute parking sign. I'm not putting any more it looks so cheesy. And once again, the
Who's gonna monitor?
the
that?
sheriff's
Enforce that 30
department
minutes,
is
yeah.
not driving up and down Main Street saying you
Chopping
parked there
tires.
35 minutes. It's
Parking
it's
ticket.
just, it is so. I don't have the words for it. And you know me well enough. I have the words for it. It's just, all it is instead of saying, no, we're not gonna put a 30-minute parking sign up, we've just appeased people and went and put 30-minute parking signs up, and no one's doing anything with them. So it's
If you put those up, you're just creating yourself more problems.
and we have when you look there, you can just see where we've appeased people.
You don't want to, I don't
Driving people
downtown does not
downtown.
look good with a lot
No.
of 30-minute
No.
parking signs.
So,
on there.
That is one thing I wanted to bring up. Today we did a little test in a couple of alleys. Our own crew, Public Works crew, did some paving. We have what's called a drag box, and it basically is a quasi paving machine on the back of a truck, and we have a roller. We did the alley, I would say the most important alley at the post office, from when you turn right out of the post office down to 6th Street. We did that alley. It's not perfect. I want to thank the guys. It was a practice run. And, you know, we have work to do, but to do that and pay a paving company, it's around probably 15 grand. I think we had 2,700 bucks in asphalt and a day of labor. So want to experiment more. And if I just had an open checkbook, I would pave all the alleys in the city of Coshocton. So talk to Sherry, and if she can appropriate me that money, we will pave them all ourselves. But once again, when those guys are out paving that alley, nothing else is getting done in the city, because the 6 guys we had were out there paving the alley. So I heard they only argued with each other like one time. So it was a good day.
How long did that one time last?
6
Not
hours.
long. Yeah, 6 hours. Someone drove by and said they were leaning on the shovels, and I said, you would too if you had to work for me.
So are you going to experiment again with it sometime?
The problem that we're gonna run into is most of the alleys are hooved up. So, and once you scrape that, it's dirt.
Right.
They weren't built for,
Right.
and once again, they weren't built for trash trucks. They weren't built for Ford F-450s. You know, they weren't built for that. So anywhere we can go where it's been patched and patched and patched, we're gonna try. We're gonna have to figure out, and me and Sherry are getting ready to work on appropriations for next year. So if we have to kind of squeeze some money from somewhere to do that, alleys haven't been paid for 40 years.
Right.
So everyone says my alley's bad. Well, you're not alone, because
Right.
my alley's bad too. And it'll be the last one to get paved, I promise you. Coshocton and Bloom, Jeff sent out an email late today about Coshocton and Bloom. I
Yeah.
talked to the judge this morning. Actually, I didn't talk to him. I talked to Sherry downstairs. I suggested that he emailed you, Tom, and made time to come and talk more about the need for the city's support monetarily. It's a huge impact to the city of what they've done.
Can we discuss-
and it'll
Right.
get
Can we
better.
discuss this on Monday and then bring it to the table at our next one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
do that?
will. Yeah, most
Okay.
definitely.
yeah. Because I got that right at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and,
it's not,
yeah.
no, I just.
We're
wanted
not
to bring
pressed
it
for
up.
it, correct?
No.
Okay.
I want the judge to come though and kind of explain in detail what the plans
Absolutely.
are with that property and why the need. So
Yeah.
I know you guys are going to support it. I just want him to
Right.
come and explain it. So
Okay.
he'll be sending you an email, Tom. To Judge Frank.
Oh, okay.
We'll send you an email.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty well done. at least on those topics. If anyone has any questions, I'll keep you up to date. Me and Jeff have been around cruising the mean streets of Coshocton, looking for junk and figuring out what we're gonna do with it. So if you have a property that you think needs attention, it's probably on the list. We're probably familiar with it.
Question about the former tire shop on 7th Street. It's come up
That
before.
is a tire shop now. That's the problem, that.
It was
that is
the
zoned
wooden
as-
tires.
That is zoned as business,
a
and he
business.
has started a used tire and garage door business. So he's in business.
It's unless I don't know how we forcefully change
He,
the zoning.
he
on it.
did tell me that he was going to, before winter, try to get some storage moved in there to put the tires in the storage, but he has started a legitimate business there. And since it was in the past a service station, it's classified as B2, and what he's doing falls within that ordinance because he called me and checked.
House at the corner of Alder and South Lawn, where we don't know.
Yes.
Tires, probably 6 or 8 tires.
They cleaned that up. When we went by the other day, they were
Okay.
gone. So they had appliances out there. I just went right straight to the property owner and told the property owner, you're responsible. So we went by and I didn't see anything out of the ordinary sitting there.
Yeah, we got word that they were doing a trash hauling business and hauling trash there, and then Kimball was maybe
I think
it was
that's
better
where
than
we'll stop.
Kimball.
Yeah, I think that's probably where their litter around the house is coming from.
It was. So once I contacted the property owner, explained that they were the ones that were gonna bear the brunt of it, I think they stopped.
All right, thank you.
Speaking of big trucks destroying the curbs and so forth,
Mhm.
all the cars on Kenilworth, where do we stand on any of that?
All the cars and
Cars over the curb, on the tree lawn,
that's,
all day, every day.
well, that's, the sheriff's office is doing what they can, when they can with parking issues. And come January 1st, I'm understanding that will be my sole job is to do parking issues, but yeah, but that's just, you know,
Kenilworth is bad.
when the deputies see that, they just need to write a ticket because that's a parking issue.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Glenn?
Yes, sir.
Good. Max says he only has one thing, so
Yeah.
then we'll adjourn.
The mayor covered about everything that I had listed. But I will announce today, we did have the second bid opening on the 8th and 9th Street water projects. We did receive 3 out of 4 bids was within the specs. One came in under the engineering estimate. So engineering associates will be reviewing those bid packets this week. And by Friday, we should have an answer back to John Cleek and the commissioners, which contractor's been selected, and then we will be moving forward with that project. So I was happy with how the bids came in today, so. We are just, I've had a lot of questions from residents up on 20th Street this week. There is a excavator parked there. That project will be starting Monday, hopefully.
Yeah.
We've had problems, believe it or not, with getting pipe from McLean, so.
Pipes and bolts.
And so we are having some supply issues like you've been hearing around the country on that job, but hopefully that project will start this coming weeks. Good. That's fine.
Anybody else for Max? Sheriff Crawford, you have anything for us? We got your emails report.
Good.
So you have anything else?
Happy to answer any of the questions during council or now, or.
Anybody have anything for the sheriff?
Just ask that, I would ask for consideration in this contract, and I believe we came up with a very good compromise, and look forward to serving the Coshocton City. Appreciate it.
Get any help out of Garrison? Any question on that?
I've been working really hard.
Good. I tried that at one
They've
time.
asked me numerous times, when am I gonna slow down?
Right.
I said, it's not gonna happen.
All right. Does anybody else have anything?
What President, Ms. Trade Drive's back here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to talk to Kate, right?
Yeah, if there's any questions, yeah, I'm here.
I just, I went through the ordinance proposal you sent out, and I think Bobby clarified most of it. If we could just get a condensed Reader's Digest, West Virginia casebook version that
See?
Okay, condensed version of
Yeah, it only cites the area of change, and I know it's italicized and underlined, but
there's really three main changes. One is, one section gets done away, which is the one where we have the issue of who pays water bill and home ownership transfer. That's one of the key ones.
saw that one.
The other two big changes are doing away with quarterly billing for some of the landlords. The other one is how we change the red tag policy. That's the three big issues that get changed that in a nutshell. A lot of the other ones are typos.
I guess where can I find the red tag policy? That was one I specifically looked for.
You'll have to look under service disconnect. I don't have the section, Roger. I'll get that for you.
All right,
The other thing is what we've also tried to do as kind of hot is put all the policies, that affect rates, procedures, all those exhibits, so they're all together now. So right now we have ordinances, for like hydrant fees from '04, so we try to find that. So this is all there, so if we want to decide to do updates, they're all in one document.
okay, thanks.
Anything else?
Roger, unless I hear back from you, I'd like to put that on the agenda in 2 weeks.
All right,
Max?
In case you guys are wondering where we're at on our fire chief. The oral exam will take place December. This one's 11. December 11th. Yes. And so after that, very shortly after that, we will have a permanent fire chief in place.
I guess I'd like to thank Sherry for setting up the health fair.
Awesome.
Thank you.
job.
Well, on that, just a reminder for council members, that you can go until the 20th. If you have the health, you have to take that lab order form that I sent out, the work order, go to the 311 building, first floor. I mean, it's so beneficial for you to go, and it's a whole host of tests. So, so it's being offered to you at no charge. So it's actually a great savings for the city to do that. And
I was in and out in 3 minutes. So.
it was amazing this year. It was absolutely amazing. The staff for the hospital.
Yeah.
Thanks for the cream stick. Not really a shot.
Actually, the city auditor's office, thank you, but the city auditor's office has been organizing and doing that health fair since 2004.
Does that help us get any type of discounted rate on our insurance? I know with city schools it did at one time.
Not necessarily because we're self-insured, but it serves such a great tool for us that, and this cost, I think the test for a male was $82, female $67. And I sent out an email. If you would go and get that whole panel and everything, that would cost the city probably $1,500 for that test. With us being self-insured, we pay the claims. So, but it saves the employees. They don't have to pay the copay, the $15 at the doctor's visit, your deductible and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but no, since we're self-insured, it doesn't save us that way, but it saves us
I'm going
in
somewhere else.
claims. Yes, in
And
claims.
for preventative, just
And
to
it's-
find out.
Yeah, and
what's
we
going
have
on.
caught some cases in there that's
Cancer.
been,
Yeah.
Diabetes.
life-saving.
Yeah.
But
But you can still get done. Let me know if you need an order.
Okay, meet in about 10 minutes in chambers.
All right.
That's not good. Do you still have the-
Yeah.
You hear now?
Michelle,
Yep, I can hear you now. Thank you.
you say here?
Here.
There.
There.
I need a motion to excuse Mike Gross. Second. All right, call roll please. Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft. Yes. Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler. Yes. Moore. Yes. Turner.
Yes.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the beautiful weather we've been enjoying. Oh, Lord, we appreciate the community that we live in, and we just ask that you be with us tonight and help us in our deliberations. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Council, your email the minutes from the September 27th council meeting. You guys have any questions? Need a motion to accept the minutes?
Make a motion in a minute.
Chad made a motion. Andrews?
Yes.
Yes. Johnson?
Yes.
Mishler? Yes. Moore? Yes. Turner?
Yes.
Any public input? One thing that I have is I did receive the email from from Hope and James Elliott. We discussed it in committee. Anybody else have anything to add to that? And I just got a text. I think we're still muted. We can hear Michelle, but she can't hear us.
I can hear you. I sent that before, so we're okay. Thank you.
There you go. We have several requests for additions to the agenda. Ordinance 3621, ordinance authorizing the service director to enter into a contract with Coshocton County Sheriff for law enforcement protection in the city of Coshocton. Ordinance 4021, ordinance authorizing the mayor or service director to enter into an agreement with the lease Coshocton Alternative School for the leasing of honorary museum. Ordinance 4321, appropriations, and resolution 721, authorizing legislation resolution cooperation agreement with county resource program. The motion to add the listed ordinances and a resolution to the agenda. Second. Call the roll. Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft. Yes. Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler. Yes. Moore. Yes. Turner.
Yes.
Mayor, you have anything to add from maybe?
I just want to remind the public, trick or treat Saturday, October 30th from 5 to 6:30. There from all the schools. Also, apple butter stirring is this weekend. The rain Friday and Saturday, Sunday looks like marvelous there. I will be a top hat along the coast from Roscoe. I just want to say a special thanks to the Sheriff's Office, to Sheriff Crawford, Captain Harrison Bryant. Actually, I don't want to say fun, but actually fun. Had a good time, a lot of conversation. I think this contract will take out in a different direction. After use does, doesn't, but
Not another way. Another. Once they think, here, what happened, what was done. I think what's about to happen with this contract, nothing. Definitely, want to ask the public for help. People are recruiting off of their office. I will out. I go out at least once a month. During the day, sometimes in the afternoon, I like the late night. And I see what these guys are now going through and more. Heard something about it. On them. Them. I'm together. I think that's the first time then, the first time. It's simple. Actually, I don't think I'll just restate some of Mark's comments that state moderation. I think it's a great contract. We will improve. Like 22 will be increased at date 21 by about 5%. 22. Give the sheriff room to work and also I could offer a share. Today, traffic enforcement, additional training, sheriff Roberts, and any other functions that's other part sheriff as well, sheriff Roberts. So it's really good. Any questions for the mayor? Next. Director Bob, you have anything?
I have nothing.
Auditors report. Council, your email following. Baseball only. Raise your hand. Yes. So.
Michelle, you still there?
Yep, I can hear you. I'm really having trouble hearing everybody else, though.
Oh, they're asking for your vote on the finance report.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Thanks, Jim. Already being a liaison.
council, your, on the sheriff's report from Sheriff Crawford, your email, the sheriff's report for the month of September was pretty lengthy. The map, things, it's all interesting to look at. Does anybody have any questions for the sheriff? Sheriff, you have anything to add? Anything you want to report?
Other than I'm very happy with the way the contract turned out. Mayor and service director and our negotiating team met several times over quite a few months, and all about communication and working together to accomplish the same goal. And hopefully consideration to pass the contract so we can continue to have it done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff, do you have anything to add to what you just handed us?
No, I'm not sure where it went. It was emailed you the 6th. Glad to answer any questions. Fairly busy summer.
If you have anything to add, I know you just got here.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, all right, thank you. Council, you also emailed the September income tax report from Becky Cushman. About, what was it, the income tax receipt, distribution of funds, the JED, payroll withholding, business net profit revenue, and on the individual tax revenue, there was a note that I don't know if you guys read the note. The city being down in business revenue was a file for extensions without. I got that. Bro, they get the dates. Put them out. Want to put those in there right now? Third quarter JED reports that you sent. Okay. Those are emailed to.
Okay, is it on?
Yeah.
I don't have to.
So, anybody have any questions? Maybe Sherry could answer. Jackie's not here. Not, move on. Any other reports from council members? Okay. We'll move into legislation. Yes, everything's in purchase. Sorry. Yep. Okay. I will ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of ordinance 36-21.
An ordinance authorizing the service director to enter into a contract with Coshocton County Sheriff for law enforcement protections for the city of Coshocton.
Heard the first reading of 36-21. If I have any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and give the second reading.
Motion by Kaylee, seconded by Glenn. Clerk, Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Bichler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the second reading, 36-21.
An ordinance authorizing the service director to enter into a contract with the Coshocton County Sheriff for law enforcement protection for the city of Coshocton.
For the second reading of 36-21. Have a motion for a third reading of 36-21.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and give it a third reading.
I'll second that.
We're seconded. Or please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Bichler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give 36-21 a third reading.
An ordinance authorizing the service director to enter into a contract with the Coshocton County Sheriff for law enforcement protection for the city of Coshocton.
Heard the third reading of 36-21. Question is, should ordinance 36-21 pass? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler. Yes. Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 3621 is passed. I'll ask Mr. Moore to give a first reading of ordinance 4021.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor or service director to enter into an agreement to extend the lease with Coshocton County Alternative School for leasing of the former Armory Building Gymnasium.
For the first reading of 40-21. Any questions or comments?
Make a motion to suspend the rules and give it a second reading.
Such as Johnson, Barcroft, second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler. Yes. Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give 4021 a second reading.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor or service director to enter into an agreement to extend a lease with Coshocton Alternative School for the leasing of the former Armory Building Gymnasium.
For the second reading of 4021.
I move to suspend the rules and give it another reading.
Ms. Larson made a motion to
I'll
suspend
second.
or seconded.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler. Yes. Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give 4021 a third reading.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor or service director to enter into an agreement to extend the lease with Coshocton Alternative School for the leasing of the former Armory Building Gymnasium.
For the third reading of 4021, question is, should ordinance 4021 pass? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler. Yes. Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 4021 is passed. I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of ordinance 4121.
Be it ordained by the council of the city of Coshocton, state of Ohio. Section 1, appropriate from 401 capital improvement Roswell Cemetery to account number 401-3320-52701 capital improvement parks, the amount of $9,200. Section 2, appropriate for 114 American Rescue Plan account number 114-775-52101 ARP essential worker premium, the amount of $82,500. Section 3, from 114 American Rescue Plan account number 114-7775-52301 ARP administrative expenses, amount of $10,000. Section 4, this ordinance is hereby declared to be an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of public peace, welfare, and safety. Emergency being for the reason that said ordinance is needed to immediately provide services for the city of Coshocton. This ordinance shall therefore take effect and be enforced immediately upon its passage by council and approval by the mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Section 1, this is my mistake. Well, it was twofold. I corrected it for Cherry, but I think I obviously printed out the wrong one. It didn't have the corrections. So
No.
section 1, Roscoe Cemetery incidentals needs to be, you need to strike that from that because that is just 401 capital improvement.
So you want us to take out Roscoe Cemetery incidentals?
Yes. Section 3, the word appropriate should be in front of the word from. A motion, so you'll need, a motion to amend.
But we don't.
Just no.
I would just say
appropriation.
You can summarize it and just call it appropriation.
Yes,
So I need a motion to amend
I'll
4121.
make a motion for that.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft. Yes. Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of ordinance 4121.
Appropriation.
For the first reading of 4121. Does anybody have any,
I'll make a
Question.
motion, we suspend the rules and give the second reading.
Andrews made a motion, Johnson seconded. Mr. Moore, call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft. Yes. Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler. Yes. Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give 4121 a second reading.
Appropriation.
Heard the second reading of 4121. Have a motion for a third reading.
So
Mishler,
I'll second.
Andrews seconded.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft. Yes. Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
yes,
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give 4121 a third reading.
Appropriations.
For the third reading, 4121, the question is, should ordinance 4121 pass? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler. Yes. Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 4121 is passed. I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of ordinance 4221.
Transfers.
For the first reading of 4221, any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and give it a second reading.
Andrew made a motion, Johnson seconded.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft. Yes. Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
yes,
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give a second reading, 4221.
Transfers.
For the second reading of 4221, I have a motion for a third reading. Barcroft,
I'll second.
Andrew seconded. Mr. Moore, call the roll. Ready.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
yes,
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ask Mr. Moore to give 4221 a third reading.
Transfers.
For the third reading of 4221, question is, should ordinance 4221 pass? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
yes,
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 4221 is passed. I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of ordinance 43-21.
Appropriations.
For the first reading of 43-21, any questions or comments? Motion to suspend the rules.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and give it a second reading.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
yes,
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Appropriations.
Heard the second reading of 4321. Motion for a third reading.
I'll make a, so moved, yeah.
Johnson.
so seconded,
So seconded by Mishler. More call the roll.
Andrews,
Yes.
Barcroft. Yes. Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler. Yes. Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Mr. Moore to give 4321 a third reading.
Appropriations.
For the third reading, 4321, the question is, should ordinance 4321 pass? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews,
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler. Yes. Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 4321 is passed. Move to resolutions. Resolution 7-21. Mr. Moore, please read resolution 7-21.
Authorizing legislation and resolution cooperation agreement, county researching program 2022, city of Coshocton.
Question is, should resolution 721 be adopted? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews,
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler. Yes. Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Resolution 721 is adopted. The old business. New business. Communications. I'd just like to thank council members for showing up. Michelle, thanks for zooming in, helping us out tonight.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the progress we're making on our community meetings. So please keep it up. Like the input, keep we're moving in the right direction. Mayor, thanks for everything you're doing. Thanks, appreciate everything. Does anybody else have any communications? Need a motion to, Mr. Moore, when is the date and time of our next meeting?
October 25th, committee meeting starting at 5:30, council meeting 7 o'clock, and I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Mr. Moore made a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Johnson seconded. Mr. Moore, call the roll.
Andrews,
Yes.
Barcroft. Yes. Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, Michelle.
Everyone. Yep, absolutely. Have a great evening.
You too.
See you.
See ya.
You're from-
Bye.